Hello, and welcome back to the next part of the extra episode of White Album 2. Now, this episode was done as a bonus for the PlayStation 3 version of White Album 2, and it's kind of an epilogue to Kazusa Normal. So, basically, so far, we've kind of gone over all the different characters and how they're doing now. Setsuna and Io and Tomo are having their girls talk about kind of wanting to fulfill their lives and be fulfilled before Setsuna can go back to really being with Haruki, and Haruki is a depressed mess. So, he is hanging out with Takeya, which I think is good, so let's head back and see how they are doing. Here. All right. This time. Yeah! Finally connected. Hey, Takeya. Hey, don't talk to me when I'm winning. Or is that some kind of strategy to make me mess up? What do you think I should do? My life from here on out, work, Setsuna, what should I do about any of it? Wow, you're finally asking me what to do? I've been waiting 7 years to hear you say that. Takeya, from the day we met, you've been telling me what to do. You would lecture me until I understood, however many hours or days it took. I'm such an idiot. I never realized how stupid I was. Well, at least he's finally realizing it 7 years too late. I always want results from other people immediately, but all I wound up doing was slipping by without deciding a thing. As a result, I hurt Setsuna, Kazusa, everyone. And therein lies the problem. Haruki didn't... should I say it? He didn't do anything inherently wrong, except for not making a decision. That's the thing. None of his decisions could be considered horrid, right? Sometimes you want to break up with someone, sometimes you want somebody else. It doesn't make you a bad person in itself. But not deciding and trying to juggle multiple girls at the same time because of your indecision, that's where the problem lies. But you did make a decision, even if you thought you were just slipping by. Takeya. That's why you're here. You had other paths to choose from, but you're here in the same old place. But if that was the wrong choice, then it doesn't mean anything. What value is there in it if I betrayed Setsuna and abandoned Kazusa? But I still can't tear myself away from Setsuna. I'm just piling up wrong after wrong. That's not something that can be forgiven. You're saying that if you mess up even once, you can never be forgiven again? I really don't think that's true. But it wasn't just once, it was over and over and over. Humans have the hardest time seeing themselves out of anyone. That's why you make mistakes, but you can see everyone else's mistakes easily. Okay, well that's actually very true and very wise. Sometimes Takeya comes out with these bits of wisdom that always boggle me. That's so smart. But I don't think that logic really applies here because, like Haruki said, he has messed up over and over and over again. So maybe, not being forgiven kind of makes sense in this situation. Just saying. So everything you've ever told me has been right. More than my own judgments, at least. That's why I need you to tell me now. What am I supposed to do? You got to decide that for yourself, though. Don't ask me. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about right now. This is a decision for a bit further along the line. How far along? When? When you can trust that your decision is the result of all your hesitating and worrying, maybe? When I can trust it because I hesitated over it? That sounds a little weird. Yeah, I guess so. Though, I think it's not as weird as it seems. Because when you're about to make a major life decision, right? Of course you're going to hesitate. Of course you're going to think it over. And the fact that you hesitate but still decide on it just goes to show that you've really, really thought it through. You know, whether it's a big job decision or a marriage proposal, anything like that. Those are big decisions. And the fact, if you just say yes without hesitating, you might come to regret it. But if you hesitate and then say yes, honestly, I think that's probably the best thing for anyone. Hey, Haruki? If that time ever does come, when you're ready to start hesitating, start worrying, and decide something, talk to me first. Please talk to him first. Please don't make any more decisions by yourself. Takeya. Whatever you decide, I won't complain. Yeah, right. I'll tell you what to do, just like you used to tell me. Please? Yeah, count on me. Sorry, Takeya. Seriously, I'm sorry. Save that line for once you're back to your old self and give it to the person who really needs it. Yeah, please. And once you're done with that redemption, come to me next. No worries. I'll do you so many favors you won't be able to pay me back in this lifetime. And now we're heading back to the girls' team. That's very sweet, though. Takeya really is such an amazing and incredible friend. Really, truly. He's one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion. Really, really sweet. Whew. Thank God we managed to catch the last train. Ugh, my voice is all hoarse. I hope it comes back by Monday. It's your fault for taking Setsuna on. If you just let her do her thing, we'd have finished in 2 hours. But that's boring. I have to show off the results of my voice training somehow. You didn't forget why we got together today, did you? It was in honor of my finally joining adult society, right? Come on, with all of us out together, Setsuna was able to blow off some steam. I sure hope so. Setsuna did look like she was enjoying herself a decent bit. I think you worry too much, Mizusawa-san. You could send a little bit of that attention Izuka-san's way, and it wouldn't hurt. Don't bother trying to take this in any nonsense directions. I'm not going to go along. They're such girls. Again, it just feels like a male writing women. Like, I don't know. Just seems so catty all the time. Just have a normal conversation. But the fact that they're getting together to kind of cheer Setsuna up, like that was their main goal of this meeting, is really sweet. And I'm sure like Setsuna knows, but she's trying not to like make a big deal of it. But everybody's trying to cheer up both Haruki and Setsuna. And just, man, you gotta hope that they make it out okay. Hey. Are you still opposed? You have to ask. You really hate Haruki that much? I don't hate him. I just can't forgive him for what he did. Okay. For once in this story, I actually agree with Tomo. Which is sad. Changing his mind all around, brooding, breaking down all he wants. I can't come up with any way of forgiving that. I'm not sure I'd say he changed his mind. Because he's loved Kazusa all along. That doesn't necessarily make it better. Even if we take the personal feelings out of it, I think Kitahara-san is just holding Setsuna back right now. Of course, if I said that to Setsuna, she'd snap at me again, so I'm just grumbling to you. You could consider my mental state a little too. Honestly, though, that's fine. I think they should. Realistically, because Takeya, he always has Haruki's back. He doesn't really want to talk smack about Haruki at all. I think the two characters that are best for doing this are honestly Tomo and Io. Trying to think of any other character that would really actually talk smack about Haruki. Maybe Setsuna's brother, Takahiro, but then again, I think he'd probably just like be sad about it rather than actually want to talk smack, but where does that put you then, Mizusawa-san? Can you still forgive Kitahara-san after what he did? No, I can't, but I don't want to break off our friendship either. He's an even older friend to me than Setsuna. I know that he always lives honestly and seriously. That doesn't mean... And I understand Toma-san's feelings a bit. Granted, they are way stronger than I imagined. The strength of those feelings was her biggest mistake, I think. More than anything, Setsuna doesn't want to punish the two of them. Which is kind of dumb, because they absolutely deserve the punishment. You don't deserve punishment necessarily for having feelings for someone. I truly don't believe that. The fact that Haruki still had leftover feelings for his first love in high school, you can't fault someone for that. You can fault someone for acting on those feelings when they're already in a relationship, because that's horrible, right? You can be mad at someone for having feelings, but you can't fault them necessarily. But the fact that they were acting on it, absolutely they do deserve some punishment here. Io doesn't seem to think so. Setsuna doesn't seem to think so. I absolutely think so. I think you're good as you are, though. You should keep staying on Setsuna's side. I guess Setsuna would be pretty stuck without me there. And I know Takeya is always going to be on Haruki's side. See? Perfect balance. What about you, Mizusawa-san? Keeping that question on hold. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally. Well, I don't know yet whether Setsuna is really running herself into the ground or not. She's obviously running herself into the ground. Maybe. But whether she's forcing herself to her limit or whether she's still got some space. No, I'm saying, even if she's at her limit, I have to keep thinking about it a bit. Then it's a matter of forcing her to leave him or letting her stay with him like she wants. And, looking at this from an outsider perspective, it looks like the friends are a bunch of busybodies, right? You're like, oh my God, they're meddling. They don't get to decide, whatever. But honestly, this is what true friends would do. If a true friend is stuck with somebody that's terrible, you should be there and be like, look, tell them straight up, this is not okay. And I don't think that's being a busybody at all. I know everybody has their own opinions. My opinion, though, absolutely, what they're doing is the right thing. Talking about this is the right thing, and deciding whether they want to support something or heavily go against it, that's just natural for friends. That's what I think. I don't know. I have my own thoughts on the matter, but I'm not confident in them yet. God, you're just useless at making up your mind whenever it comes to stuff between guys and girls. I'm not interested in hearing that from... Shoot, sorry. Hey, yeah. Yeah, we just finished up too. Gotcha. Yeah, everything's solid for today then. Nice work. Yep. So, huh? Right now? Fine. At the station front then. Sorry, something's come up, so I'm gonna head back. And just for some context there, I think they should have probably written this into the story, but it was a phone call. It's probably pretty obvious from the context, but still. A date? No, we're just gonna go eat. You did plenty of eating and drinking earlier. All that singing got me hungry again. You're gonna miss the last train? All I have to do is kill a little time before the first one gets moving. You don't consider that a date? Not remotely. See ya. Ugh, what is wrong with those two? Why are they like this? So, obviously, Io is going to meet up with Takeya. Now, the funny thing is, usually in Japan, the last train leaves just about midnight. So if we consider the timing of this, it's probably about 11:30 p.m. And if she misses the last train, the trains don't usually start up until 6 a.m. So staying out eating and drinking with someone from midnight to 6 a.m. is absolutely a date. That's not something that friends would usually do, especially friends like Io and Takeya that are kind of more than friends, you know what I mean? So Tomo is absolutely correct in this thinking. So, moving on to extra episode part 3. We're going to check in on Setsuna. I just left the library. It's nice and clear out today, so I'm going to take a stroll on my way home. Also, I think I'm going to be able to get back to work soon. I have my monthly meeting with my boss this weekend, so I'm planning to bring it up then. Seriously, thank you for everything, Setsuna. I know you've been busy with work, and I'm sorry I added so much more to your plate. You don't have to come every week anymore. You should relax at home this weekend. Haruki-kun. Which is so funny, because telling someone, like, you shouldn't come anymore, you should relax at home, is a very, well, indirect but direct way of being like, please don't come here. Which for Haruki is usually not out of his own self-interest, but out of interest for the other party. But obviously with Setsuna, she wants to take care of him. She wants to be there. So again, they're pushing themselves back into that circle that they found themselves in the closing chapter, where they're just like not seeing eye to eye on things. However, Setsuna is a lot more pushy right now than she was in closing. So she's going to keep pushing herself onto Haruki until it gets better. That's the plan. Spring had passed, and summer had arrived on the calendar. The mornings and evenings were still chilly, but the middle of the day was as sweaty as I remembered, and I found my mind turning to the heat and humidity to come. That's great. Be careful with yourself, though. If you're in any pain, take a taxi. Haruki-kun had begun his rehabilitation, little by little, in consultation with his doctor. To begin, once a week, he would spend a day at the library, quietly coming into contact with people, with society, which is actually a really good idea. Because if you're nervous within society, if you're nervous around other people, just going to the library and reading a book while other people are around you is a really good idea, especially for somebody like Haruki, who enjoyed studying and likes reading. That's a perfect idea for him. So kudos to his doctor. Of course, I was happy to hear that, but the best news for me was this. Still, I can totally understand wanting to walk on a day like this. The air feels so nice. Haruki-kun had started messaging me again. For a while, he couldn't even turn his phone on. Even now, he couldn't make or take calls. But to me, just to me, he had started sending messages. I was ecstatic over it. Oh, I'm in transit from the branch office, by the way. I'm not slacking off just to message you. His messages had been a support for me since long before. Back when I waited eagerly for the single message he sent a day. Back when, even though we had agreed to only one a day, I would keep sending replies, hoping for a second, a third, like today. Well, I don't know though. Sending personal messages while in transit seems like it could be a gray area on the slacking front. When we were out of touch, when I rejected him, when our bond was damaged, every time that single message reconnected us. Anyway, you're thinking about going back to work? That's great. It sounds like you're doing a whole lot better. But there's no need to rush. Like I said, you should take these steps slowly and steadily. We can look at the outcome of that meeting, your medicine, and the situation at your workplace and think it over together before deciding. I'm going to come see you this weekend. There's a lot I want to talk to you about. Come on, don't take away this thing I only get to enjoy once a week. I'll definitely be there. See you. Setsuna just sent how many texts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if we include the well, I don't know. Haruki sends 1 message, Setsuna sends 7. And again, like I said, she doesn't want to give up that weekend. She wants to be there. It makes her happy. the weekend. But even though I was happy, I couldn't let myself bask in my own satisfaction. The mail he'd sent me today was plainly optimistic. It exuded ambition. However, precisely because of that, I felt anxious. I hoped I was worrying needlessly, but suddenly returning to work was a bit too quick a decision. He ought to talk with more people, decide more calmly. That and this weekend. And now, the weather forecast for the weekend. Starting tomorrow afternoon, a humid front will set in from the west. Continuing through Kyushu and Shikoku, it is predicted that the rainy season will begin all at once between Kinki and Kanto. So the weather's not going to be great. That's unfortunate. I'm back. And on Friday. Haruki-kun? The apartment was dark and closed off as always, though I could sense that someone was there. However, that presence wasn't coming from the bed like it normally did. I told you didn't have to come. It was in the corner of his room, on the opposite side of the bed. As he leaned against the wall, staring up into space, his voice, which was even weaker than usual, finally reached me. How was the meeting? I didn't go. The rain. The rain wouldn't stop. Whew, Haruki. I mean, he was trying. It's so hard for me to be sympathetic to his character. And that's the reason why I have trouble with this extra episode specifically. Because I just don't think he deserves the sympathy. So if this was like a normal person that was struggling, right? Depression, anxiety, that sort of thing, I would feel so bad. And I would love Setsuna for what she was doing. And I would think that's really good. And I'd be rooting for him. And I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe I just get angrier at Haruki than a lot of people. I look at him and I'm like, wow, get over it. Which is something that's so terrible and so awful to say. But like, I just don't think he deserves this wiggle room. I don't think he deserves the pampering. But I know, that's who Setsuna is. That's the whole point of her, to be forgiving to a ridiculous degree. So yes, good call. It's just as well that you didn't go out. Look, I'm drenched. Damn it, why did it have to come down so hard on an important day like this? His tone, voice, and words contrasted sharply with his message from the day before. These days, the smallest impetus was enough to shake Haruki-kun's emotional state this severely. Which, again, is a huge symptom of depression and, I guess, social anxiety is what Haruki's going through right now. Something so tiny, a tiny, tiny speed bump, whether it's the weather, he can't find his favorite sock, something stupid is enough to ruin his whole day. That's not healthy. You can't control the weather. You can just reschedule, right? I sat down next to him, keeping a little distance so I wouldn't get him wet, so that I wouldn't frighten him, so that I wouldn't make it hard for him to breathe. I kept a little distance. But I didn't go to the meeting before this one either. It's been 2 months now since I showed my face at work. I told you, you don't have to rush. You've always been so hasty, Haruki-kun. I gently set my hand on his shoulder. Surely that tiny bit of contact wouldn't be rejected. And so, just as always, I fumbled to gauge the sense of distance between us, which seemed to change every day. 2 months without being in work. That is a long time. Everyone's going to forget about me. It'll be like I was never there. No, it won't. Everyone is waiting for you. How do you know that? What do you know about where I work? Well, I do similar work. Setsuna, you seem busy. Must be nice. I'm just slow at it. Making more work for everyone around me as usual. It must be nice being needed by everyone. He's just sulking like a child at this point. I understand what he means, but this is the kind of thought that, like, why would you say it out loud? It's just not good. You're needed too. They sent you that letter that they all signed, remember? Near his bed lay a square of colorful paper sent to him by the Chiograph editorial department. Apparently, his former boss, who was now in America, went out of her way to get in touch and put it all together. Oh, Mari-san is so sweet. I love her so much. That was how they felt 2 months ago, back when they thought I would get better soon. No one assumed it would be soon. They're all just hoping you get better eventually. Yes, that was how much the company needed him now. I don't know how they feel now. I mean, maybe they don't feel anything at all anymore. He just wasn't able to believe it himself. They're waiting for you because you've contributed so much in your time there. I know they'll keep waiting. How can you know? People's feelings change all the time. No, they don't change. Yes, they do. Remember? You were with me 2 years ago and Ooh. Oh, that's terrible. What a terrible thing to say. Haruki-kun's words, which even he himself couldn't control, pierced me just slightly. But that pain was probably a little different from what he intended. I was supposed to love you forever, and I betrayed you. Exactly. That was why I could believe that feelings that never changed, never faded, could exist. That's so sad. I don't like that. I hate that. Why bring it up? Then again, leaving it like the elephant in the room isn't like super good either. Because I was here with them, even though he had never stopped thinking about Kazusa for the past 5 years. It's not right. How can you stay with me like this? Because I want to. I know I told you that I couldn't live without you. I guess you did. But that doesn't mean you should be here with me. If I can't live, then I should just die. Haruki-kun, no, don't even joke about that. I should die. I should let you go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for making you suffer like this. Don't apologize. I'll just get even more miserable. Haruki-kun. This is so terrible. Just makes me so mad. Listen, saying that you should die is never, ever. And I'm not even talking like, oh no, like, don't do suicide. There's always a better way. That's not even what I'm talking about, even though that is true. If you're really upset and someone's trying to comfort you and you're like, no, I should just die. Who does that help? Who does that benefit? That just makes them pity you. That just makes them like want to compliment you and like help you and be with you. And it's not helping anybody in this situation. It's really just creating a stupid pity party. Never, do not do that to people. It makes them needlessly worry. As his body shivered, it looked smaller than it ever had. I wanted to embrace that tiny body with all my strength. I wanted to relieve some part of his heavy, bitter pain. But right now, I couldn't. Because I knew that my embrace would trap and hurt him like thorny vines. Spring had passed and summer had arrived on the calendar. And with the heat came this dim, gloomy season. Boy, oh boy, Haruki is a mess right now. I'm glad that he has Takeya because having someone outside of the love triangle trio, aka Setsuna, Kazusa, Haruki, is crucial to his mental health right now because as he said and as Setsuna knows, her being there isn't necessarily the best thing for his mental health. He feels like that's his lifeline, but what he needs to do is he needs to build lifelines around other people first. I don't even think it's the best thing for him to get back with Setsuna, but if he will, first he needs lifelines with other people. So hopefully that's what he will work on next. So thank you so much for joining me on this part of the extra episode, and I'll be back with the next part shortly. So until then, hope you take care. See you.